Cast live on YouTube, my friends.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Broken Tables podcast. I am your host, Jeffrey Vegas, here as always with our reigning, defending Broken Predictions champion, King Rome. Hold that title up high. How you doing tonight, sir?
Doing good, Jeff. How are you?
I'm doing excellent, man. This is a great Wednesday night, great Dynamite after Saturday's incredible pay-per-view. I mean, that pay-per-view, man, we just did our watch along, so we didn't really do any sort of a review for it, but my goodness, was that pay-per-view fantastic. I know a lot of people feel like the MJF Adam Cole stuff was overbooked, but I don't have a huge problem with any of that. And this has just been a great week for AEW in general so far. And Swerve Strickland, man, is just emerging as this new just superstar. You know what I mean? Like, Swerve is just absolutely incredible. That match on Saturday, his match tonight was amazing as well, with Jay Lethal. And I think this guy is the future of AEW, man. He's got it. I think I've been saying that for a while, and if you ever wonder what it is, just take a look at Swerve Strickland, and you could see it pretty well.
Yeah, I think it's kind of undeniable, right? I mean, I think that if you're unfortunate enough to go on Twitter, right, and you read the discourse, I think there's a lot of bad faith arguments that I see kind of thrown around, and really Swerve. There was this really ridiculous take I saw where it was just like people like cherry picking Swerve, and nah, this dude is him. Like
Absolutely.
he's a top guy in the company. He's established himself. I mean, you talk about Saturday. That was like 2 years to the day that he signed with the company, and he goes out there with Hangman and puts on one of it. Like, it's one of my top 5 matches of all time. It's so phenomenal in almost every single way. It raises the bar for that style of wrestling. There's no going back. Like, we've experienced a moment in the subgenre that is that style of wrestling. And I just think that it's
Yeah,
something special.
and to piggyback on that, like, that was the best Texas death match I have ever seen. Easily the best Texas death match I've ever seen.
Yeah, for sure. And you definitely don't want to take it away from Hangman because
Oh no, he absolutely contributed to that. I mean, his vampire spot is going to go down as one of my all-time favorite moments in AEW history. Like, and if you had asked me like a few days ahead of time, like, hey, if you saw somebody drink someone's blood on AEW, would you call that one of the best, moments ever? I'd be like, probably not, but here we are, and it was incredible.
See what Hangman put on Instagram?
No, I didn't actually.
So he put a picture of him drinking the blood, and the tagline was "You are with me forever now."
Oh wow, that's crazy, dude.
But no, I mean, like, Hangman obviously having 2 all-timer Texas death matches in 1 year is insane.
Yeah.
But getting back to Swerve, I think that, like, AEW has a great problem to have where, like, when you look at WWE, right, you look at the hierarchy of that company, let's say, God forbid, because I don't wish injury on it. Like, let's say, God forbid, Roman and Cody Rhodes were to get, like, career-ending injuries, right? And they were out. Like, that hierarchy of that company, there's not a lot to work with there. There's maybe like one guy ready to step up. In AEW, MJF could get hit by a bus tomorrow, again, God forbid. And there's like 8 guys who could kind of really step into that role. You know
Oh,
what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
And I think it's just, and Swerve is one of those guys, and obviously everyone's pushing, Swerve should be the next world champion. Swerve should be a world champion within the next year. And I think that he's definitely at the level to do that. I don't know if he will be, just because of, like, whatever Tony's plans are. Tony Khan is notorious for being stubborn with his booking. He does not usually like to change them until he has to react to stuff, for better and worse.
Yeah.
But I mean, all the same, I mean, Swerve is just he's a made man, and honestly, that's why he gets the win in the tournament in the first match of the first round tonight.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's how you do it. You just get them right out there, and the
And
the sorry, go ahead.
you know, I gotta say, I don't know what I was thinking here when, as the match was going on, I was like, oh my God, Hangman's gonna come out and he's gonna interfere in this match on purpose, probably beat up Jay Lethal, you know, and kind of cost Swerve a point because they said any interference, you lose a point, right? I was like, is Swerve gonna go down -1? And I was just like, what was I thinking? You know, the rules that Tony set for the tournament would have been immediately shattered, and I would have, you know, I probably would have hated it. You know what I mean? So I'm so glad they didn't do that with the match tonight.
Yeah, I
But
mean,
yeah,
yeah, Tony made it clear at the media scrum that like that wasn't going to be the case with C2, which by the way, that's what people are calling it, and I love that. So
absolutely love it.
from here on out, I'm calling it the C2, just so everyone's
Yep.
on the same page. But yeah, I just Tony made it really clear during the media scrum that he wanted it done a certain way, so they're going to do it with no outside interference, which I think is great.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, let's go over to chat real quick and say hello to everybody. We got Michael Duke saying happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Happy Thanksgiving to you as well. I can't wait for Turkey Day tomorrow. I'm going to eat until I fall asleep. We got Queen Nat in the chat as well. Gobble, gobble. Thank you guys very much for being here with us. Nat says Joe will be the next world champion and Swerve will be champion by 2025. You know, I feel like this is one of those times where you almost have to pull the trigger, and I can totally see Joe being the next champ, but Swerve's got to take it quickly. I could absolutely see Joe being like what we would call a transitional champ. I hate to say that, but I absolutely think he could hold it for maybe a month or two, and then Swerve being like, "Nah, this is mine." You know what I mean? What do you think?
Um, See, there's a weird thing right now with MJF where I think a lot of people are starting to get a little tired of like the current storyline. I think that a lot of it is running off of gimmicks that have kind of been going on for like 3 or 4 months now. So I think people in general are ready to see Max drop the title. Um,
Yeah,
I'm not really in that boat. I think that something about the AEW World Championship that I like is that when the AEW World Championship changes hands, like there's a paradigm shift. Like there is a change in the company, so to speak. And maybe I'm being over dramatic, but it almost feels like different eras. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And I think that whoever does end up beating MJ, I think it needs to be something impactful, something important. So that's why I don't think Joe should beat MJF. Could Joe do it? Absolutely. But I don't think that we should ever see a transitional AEW world champion. I don't think that we should ever see, I think that if a guy wins the world title, I think that there should be a plan for him. You know what I mean? Like I think,
yeah.
and I don't know, depending on who the Joker, the devil is, um, maybe the devil's the one that beats MJF. I think that that would be the right way to go about it. Personally, I think whoever the devil is, and unless it's Britt Baker, I
Yeah.
think
I was like,
that yeah. I mean, well, after tonight, and we'll talk about as we go through the show. But I am leaning much more towards Britt being the devil than anyone.
absolutely, I am
Um,
right now too.
but I just think that like unless and again, whoever the devil is, if it's not Britt, that person should be gearing up to beat MJF for the title. The other interesting thing is the 2024 storyline, which MJF still brings it up, but I'm not really sure how it can factor in with World's End coming up on December 30th. So I'm actually really kind of confused and not super on board with the
Well,
plan to do Joe versus MJF at World's End. I'm not super crazy about it.
so I mean, I guess that can kind of transition to my next points here. You know, we're gonna talk about the E for a moment. So let's go with that one there. This feels like, I mean, obviously the WWE has kind of revealed their hand here that they were after MJF. They've been trying to contact him and they've kind of revealed like, look, we're not hearing anything back. Nobody's calling us back. Nobody's answering the phone. No one's answering any emails. So obviously they're interested in MJF and they were attempting to get a hold of him, right? Or his people. Or do you think this is Triple H trying to ruin a storyline? You know what I mean? So they know that he's signed, but we don't, because obviously if they call his people, they're going to be like, no, he's not available till 2027, something to that effect. And what if they're just like, you know what? Screw him and his 2024 storyline of maybe signing with us. We're just going to ruin that. And they just came out there and said, we think he's signed to 2027.
So, I mean, yeah, probably. First,
right?
Absolutely, like they're going to try to do, because Triple H likes to go out and do these interviews and says like, oh, we just want to give the fans what they want. We want to shut the. No, you don't.
Yeah,
Shut up. Stop saying. Don't. You need to stop talking, because it's one thing. It's one thing to just be an asshole and douchebag. It's another thing to be disingenuous. We all know how much I fucking despise people who are disingenuous. So please, Paul Levesque, please just stop talking.
They've made it painfully obvious they would rather everybody else fail.
Yeah. Right.
So.
And then he wonders why, like, he gets so bothered by the fact that Mexican and Japanese wrestlers and fans don't want to watch their product or wrestle for their product, because you want to put everyone else out of business. Yes, Mexican and Japanese wrestlers care about their heritage, and they don't want to see you close down the Triple A's and the NJPWs and the CMLs and all that. Like, no, and guess what? Like, they don't want you to be the only game in town. So they're not going to be super keen to sign with you, especially if Tony Khan's offering good money. Anyways.
So let's get back on the, on the Swerve train while we're talking about WWE as well. So let's go back October 2021, Rome. Hit Row, or 3/4 of them are released by the WWE. Flop Dollar, I think what was her name, B-Fab, and I honestly don't remember the other guy's name. I feel bad right now. But were all released in October of 2021, and Swerve was sitting there thinking to himself like, "Hey, I dodged the bullet. They kept me on the roster." And come November 18th, 2021, Rome, the WWE, Vince McMahon, more than likely the culprit here, makes, in my opinion, the biggest blunder in the worst assessment of talent in wrestling history of firing or releasing Shane Swerve Strickland from the WWE. Now, Tony Khan immediately swoops him up, signs him to a major AEW contract, immediately puts him into storylines, with guys like Keith Lee. We've been getting these matches recently, like this Full Gear match. I mean, Swerve Strickland is just absolutely a top guy in AEW. And to think that the WWE let this guy go, I want to hear your opinion on this absolutely massive. This has to be the worst assessment of talent I think I've ever seen. Football-wise, I mean, you name it. You name a sport, this has to be the worst assessment of talent from a company ever.
So, like, here's the thing, right? Number one, like, I hold on. Let me not get it twisted and lead people on. Like, no, yes, it is a very bad assessment of talent. I realize how I started there might sound contrary to that. No, it is. It is. There are so many in the history of the Fed, World Wrestling Federation. There are so many issues of that I don't want to sit here right now and just be like, yeah, that's the absolute worst. There's a lot of bad ones. I mean, like, Bryan Danielson was almost a nobody in that company. You know what I mean? Like, we were like, if CM Punk doesn't walk out before that WrestleMania, Danielson's career is in WWE. Like, that could be one of the worst assessments of talent I've ever seen. You know what I mean? Like, we could cherry pick and go through the history of the company, and there's so many. I mean, like the Bucks. The Young Bucks wrote in their book that they went backstage, they did a SmackDown, and like Booker T and guys just didn't get them. It's like, oh, you didn't get them. You didn't get the greatest tag team of all time. Okay. MJF, another one, William Regal. You know what I mean? Like, my point is that there is a lot of bad assessment of talent over in the company. So I don't want to like take a stand and say that Swerve is the worst. It's definitely an S tier, terrible, bad job. So I guess F tier. It's an F tier job of talent assessment. But I mean, this is what the company does, man. Like they don't like the thing is that I don't think WWE has ever, in my lifetime, been in the pro wrestling business. They're not a talent assessing. When they're assessing talent, they're not assessing wrestling or pro wrestling or honestly even sports entertainment. They're they're looking at like people that are going to fit their mold. Their you know what I mean? Like it's just like that's how they do talent assessment because otherwise there's no shot you're looking at Swerve Strickland and you're just not getting it. And obviously Swerve has made it clear in the past that Triple H is kind of the guy that really kind of didn't get him in NXT. He does kind of defend, I think, HBK, if I recall. I think he's like, oh, Sean tried to push me, but Hunter just didn't get me.
Yeah.
Which, again, I think Paul Levesque is one of the biggest idiots and losers in the history of the industry. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I mean,
I'm seriously interested to see if him and Stephanie are still together. Like that's probably one of the only like Hollywood relationships that I would actually like even care about at the moment. For whatever reason, I feel like she has left, man. I feel like her and the kids are gone.
Oh, they're gone. Paul Levesque is like he's living alone and sad life. And you know what? Like maybe I'll just take solace in that. Like again, I'm really not that. I'm really not. I don't want to sit here on the internet and be like tough internet guy. I'm not. It's not my thing. Unless the glass is on and I'm doing a gimmick. But it's just like the dude's kind of a dickhead, and he kind of deserves. So like I like to think that yes, Stephanie took the kids. They're gone. Like Stephanie probably cashed out her chips, got out of the company as we know she did, and she's just like, yeah, dude, you're kind of a loser. Like you go run creative for this company, and then again do interviews and say, well, Vince taught me to look at it from the eyes of the fan. Shut up.
Right.
Not. He didn't say that. Stop it.
Yeah.
It's so.
Nat says triple loser deserves everything that comes his way. Yeah. What's up, Coog? So yeah, I mean, just what a horrible assessment of talent releasing this guy. I don't know if they were trying to make a point to somebody. It boggles my mind every time I try to just think to myself, like, why on earth would you release Swerve? You know what I mean? There's just no reasons that pop into my head at all. And here we are. Go ahead.
May I give you a reason, actually? Can I give you a reason?
Bring it.
So I want you, Jeff, to look up go on YouTube tonight. You get done this podcast because it's a holiday tomorrow. I know you probably sleep in. I want you to look up Triple H Booker T WrestleMania 19.
Oh jeez.
I want you to go back. I want you to watch that rivalry. I want you to go back and watch and listen to the words in the promo. And watch the WrestleMania match on YouTube, not on the network because you don't want to give them a view. But go on YouTube and find some 12-year-old video in 720p. I'm sure there's something you could probably find.
I think there is something you could probably find. Yeah. Probably won't enjoy it either.
Go ahead and watch that, and then you'll probably have a better idea why Triple H and WWE didn't get Swerve Strickland. You know what I mean? The suggestion.
Kind of Nat nailed it on the head earlier. Kofi Kingston only became world champion because the whole fan base got behind him. And then he loses it to Brock Lesnar in 18 freaking seconds. I was so fucking mad when that happened, dude. I can't even tell you how mad I was when that happened.
It's funny. That was the moment that broke Forrest. I know we talk about the moment that broke me.
That was Forrest's moment?
That was Forrest's moment. And I remember telling him, I was like, oh man, they're going to do Kofi versus Brock. And because they were doing, I think they just moved SmackDown to Fox, if I remember correctly. So they were trying to hype it up to be a big show.
Yeah.
And he was I was already out on the product. I was already on my way out. But the Fiend, I think that happened before the Fiend lost in Saudi Arabia. if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that did happen before because this was the first crack in my armor, and then the Fiend was, that was
Right,
my
yeah,
final.
correct. So he was watching, and like I told him, I was like, dude, they're gonna squash Kofi. Like, there's no shot that Brock is gonna have a competitive match with Kofi Kingston. Not that there shouldn't be one, but there's not going to. And he was like, nah, man, what are you talking about? He's the world champion. They're not gonna.
Yeah. Kofi could have been the Darby Allin of that match. He could have just got his ass destroyed and just somehow, some way, eked out a victory. The crowd would have been so hyped for that shit, but no, they gotta put it on Brock again.
That was my point. It was never going to change, and it's never going to. It's
right.
Still not
the David versus Goliath win that they just squash him.
No, so I mean,
but,
that's just what
back to Swerve. This guy, I truly believe he's the next big thing here in AEW. I was super hyped when I saw that he was in this tournament here tonight. This Continental, is it the Continental Championship tournament? Is that what they're calling it? The C2?
Well, so the tournament's called the Continental Classic.
The Continental Classic. There we go. I don't know why I was thinking championship. Yeah, the Continental Classic.
The winner does receive a Continental Championship along with the ROH World and New Japan Strong. So the winner's gonna be a Triple Crown champion.
Yeah. That's going to be interesting. A lot of people say we already have too many belts in AEW. What's your opinion on that one?
I think that it's not a huge deal. It really just depends on the booking. I mean, it comes down to that. Yeah. I mean, as long as we're finding, number one, you got to move the Ring of Honor titles back to, like, that's first and foremost. Like tonight, right? Shibata was on Dynamite. That's fine. I'm not saying you can't have the ROH champions appear on AEW TV, but, Shibata should be, relatively on a Ring of Honor defending his Ring of Honor Pure Championship.
Yeah, and he's going to be tomorrow, and they kind of let us know that. That was almost like an advertisement. I think Shibata made perfect sense tonight, but, we'll get to that a little later.
Yeah, but I think the Continental Championship, it's fine that it exists. I mean, it does get a little convoluted because now you're looking at, Continental means like best in the continent. So it's like based off like the names of the titles. Like, okay, well, you have the best in the world title. The international title is a champion who is able to defend the title anywhere, even though Orange Cassidy has not taken a lot of
the Continental for me sounds kind of like the North American Championship, so that's
exactly
kind of going to seem like.
That's kind of like the North American Championships, but they don't want to call it that because NXT has one.
Exactly, yeah.
Jose says in the chat, that's WWE's big problem. Stop using the mold that is old and worth shit. Do we gotta wait till everyone dies before we reboot WWE for the better? Yes, Jose, that is actually exactly what you need to wait for. Which I'm not waiting for that, so I'm.
Yeah. All right, well, I'm super stoked with Swerve, everything he has done over these past, at minimum 6 months, but everything he's done since he showed up here in AEW in 2022, 2023. It's been fantastic. Can't wait to see what goes on in 2024 for him. I really hope that he wins this tournament. When I see everybody that's on it, I see him on the opposite end of Danielson, and I would love to see Swerve versus Danielson to finish off this tournament. And to see Swerve with those belts, man, he'd be going to Japan. He'd be going to Ring of Honor, it just stuff I want to see,
Yeah.
You got any predictions for a winner, or you want to hold that inside for now?
Oh, for the C2? Oh man. Yeah.
Whose house?
Swerve is definitely one that comes to mind. Danielson's another one that comes to mind.
Another thing with Swerve, I can't wait till that dude holds up the belt and he's going to be like, finally, AEW is truly Swerve's, or, whose house. Like, I can't wait, man. It's going to be such an awesome whose house moment.
Right.
All right. Well, I think that's enough for tonight's topic. Let's go ahead and you want to run through the AEW Dynamite review here?
Sure, let's get into it.
All right, so obviously, like our topic here, we start off the show with whose house? Swerve's house. We get Swerve versus Jay Lethal to start off the C2 tournament, the Continental Classic. And I do have the board up here, which I really enjoyed what they made here. This graphic that they made for this Continental Classic. So in the Gold League, which it looks like the Gold League is going to be what's defended on Dynamite, and then the Blue League is going to be more than likely on Collision. So in the Gold League, we got Jon Moxley, Swerve Strickland, Roosh, Mark Briscoe, Jay Lethal, and Jay White. And Swerve Strickland, man, this was a fantastic match here with Jay Lethal. I'm not sure you could expect a tremendous, incredible match here, especially after what happened on Saturday, but I still thought this was a great match from Swerve and Jay Lethal. But Swerve hits that house call and the Swerve stomp for the 1-2-3, and he gains his 3 points. What'd you think of this match?
So number one, on my notes, I wrote this before anything started. Can we not have Ric Flair's face on the stage?
Yeah,
I want to get that out of the way first.
it is what it is for that energy drink, man. It's gonna be there for a little bit.
It disgusted. I'm gonna make it clear. I'm gonna say it.
Yeah.
So here's the thing, right? And I don't want to get flack for this, but I think that the C2 is a couple of adjustments away from being something truly great, like an all-time something. So I sat down at work today. I was on my lunch break and I watched the Continental Classic reveal show where they revealed all the competitors, and I can't help but be just really underwhelmed by a couple of the entrants, Jay Lethal being one of them. I don't want to hate on Jay Lethal. The dude's a legend. The guy's a vet. I just don't think where he's at now is where I think someone who's in this tournament needs to be at, if that makes sense. We were in the Discord today, and I was just listing off names that I thought were a better choice than Jay Lethal. And I didn't think this match was bad necessarily, but what it was predictable. Like for about 85 to 90% of the competitors in this tournament, it is a legit toss up about who could win a match, right? Like Roosh versus Jay White. That was a toss up. I was like, you know what? If you had made me bet money on it, I probably would have went Jay White. But I would not be surprised by any stretch of the imagination for Roosh to win that. And I'm looking at the Gold League bracket that you put up, and it's like Mox being there, Swerve, Roosh make a lot of sense. Jay White makes a lot of sense. And I guess my problem is more so with the Gold League. But it's like, man, I just wouldn't have put Jay Lethal or Mark Briscoe in this tournament because obviously I think they're going to give them both some wins in this tournament just so they're not shut out. But there's no shot in a million years that Jay Lethal or Mark Briscoe are winning this tournament. I just don't believe it. It's
absolutely not. But you got to have guys there to take some pins.
And here's the thing, though. But so this is a big problem that people have with AEW. I think it's one of the fairest critiques with AEW is that they Tony Khan sometimes it just feels like he's so afraid to let your top guys go at it because someone's got to take a loss. And I totally understand that. I get it, but that's why you book in a way that gives that guy their win back somewhere else down the line. Maybe not against that guy, but against the next. It's a balance game. You got to balance these people.
Yeah.
And my thing is that and again, I was listing off names. It's instead of Jay Lethal, why couldn't Kenny Omega be it? Why? And or even if you wanted to go a younger guy, I don't have the list in front of me that I suggested, but Darby Allin, why couldn't Darby Allin be it?
So my answer for I was waiting for you to start listing people off. My answer is going to be the same for almost everybody. They're already involved in storylines. He's choosing people that have almost nothing going on right now. So, if we were going to pick Kenny's doing his thing with Jericho and the tag team. Darby's doing his thing with the patriarchy. a lot of these guys kind of have storylines going on, and I think he didn't want to interrupt any of that. And I think Tony actually holds Jay Lethal and Mark Briscoe a little higher than maybe you or I would. But later on in the show, I think Mark Briscoe kind of proved us wrong here. But we'll get to that later.
I don't think so. But anyways, so my 2 points to kind of go back on your points is AEW does 3 television shows a week. I don't see for any reason why you couldn't ask a guy who's in a storyline to just do TV twice for a couple weeks. Like, it's not like they weren't already doing that. It's not like there aren't weeks where Darby's on both Dynamite and Collision, or like, again, I would assume that Kenny as an EVP is actually backstage, even if he's not on TV every week. Again, like Malachi Black is another one. Like, there's just guys that you could put in this tournament that you just didn't, and like it's predictable. Like you're saying, oh well, Mark Briscoe proves us wrong later on. No, he doesn't, because I didn't think for 1 second that Mark Briscoe was beating John Moxley.
I thought it was an incredible match.
That match was good, but it's a tournament. Like,
so
there's
here, let me just kind of jump ahead a little bit then and tell you like what I think is happening here. So we know Mark Briscoe and Jay Lethal are kind of sort of connected in their little storyline world. I actually think both of these guys are gonna go basically 0 and 4 or 5. And I think eventually these two are going to have to face each other last to get the only win, in the tournament. You know what I mean? So I think there's like a little storyline going to be built within the tournament between those two.
So let me devil's advocate you again. All right. Because I'm also going to use Nat, because Nat also just kind of slam dunked over you. She just kind of like reached up.
I saw that too. And I was going to get to that. Like, is that still a storyline, or did they finish that at Full Gear? We don't know yet.
They're not done. There's no shot.
I mean, we just what are we going to do that's going to top that?
A cage match.
Okay.
That's what I told you. That's why I said that I didn't think I thought Hangman winning on Saturday was the right call, and they didn't do that. Not that Swerve doesn't deserve it. Not that it wasn't an excellent match. Not that I didn't like the finish. I didn't agree with the finish. I think that now you have to do a rubber match, and it's going to be a cage match because Brian Cage and Nana got involved. So they're going to do a cage match for the rubber match. That's just pro wrestling.
Full Metal Mayhem. Yeah, that'd be pretty crazy.
Now, my second point is you say, like, oh, well, Mark and Jay Lethal are in a storyline together, so that's probably why. Let me run this by you, Jeff. What if we take Mark Briscoe out of this tournament, right? Mm-hmm. And what if we take Jay Lethal out of this tournament, right? What if we put Kenny Omega and Takeshita in the tournament, since they have history? That would be the exact same thing you were implying, but with talent that should be much more focused and showcased in a tournament like that.
I can't argue with that. I like that idea.
I'm just saying, man, like,
yeah.
I'm coming at this from like the best possible thing, but like Danielson is only around for 1 more year, and this tournament was kind of created for. I mean, like, at least it feels like it was created for him, so that way Tony Khan doesn't have to lose him to do a G1 next year. And it's just like, I don't know, man. Like, I just think we could have we were this close to greatness tournament, Brad.
See,
like,
I think though, if you look on Twitter, I think everybody's saying we've already made it to greatness here. I don't think they're giving it a down as much as you are. And to be honest, there's 12 competitors. Only 2 of them you have a problem with. I think that's actually pretty good. You know what I mean?
Again, I'm not saying it's like the end of the world and I'm still going to enjoy this tournament, but it's just like, I 2 of the competitors, I'm just not buying at all. And I'm saying like that it's a problem that didn't have to exist. Like, that's all I'm saying is like, there, you could have put other guys in this spot. You like, okay, even if you didn't want to put like believable guys in this spot, you should have put younger guys in this. Like, I don't know, like, why not put like Lee Moriarty in this spot? Why does Jay Lethal need to be in this tournament? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, either put a young guy who's gonna like brush shoulders with these established guys and probably pick up a win here or there in this tournament, because that's how the round robin works.
Yeah.
Like, see, I don't know if it's an 8 out of 10 bracket, like Nat said. I mean, I would say like an 8.5. Like, but it could. The point is that it could be a 10 out of 10 with very little effort. This tournament bracket could have been a 10 out of 10. I think that Mark Briscoe, and I'm not stealing this. Nat said this today, but I'm gonna quote her on this. She said that Mark Briscoe is basically the R-Truth of AEW, which, I 100% agree with. I think that's a great way to put it. Like he's reliable, he's great. Tony Khan gave him a job and wanted to keep him employed, especially after the death of his brother, which is so damn cool of Tony. But like this man is not a credible. Like, and I don't care how good the match with Moxley was, which I thought it was good. I don't think it was great. I thought it was good, but like, it's not a believable person to have in the tournament. And like, again, it doesn't mean it's not going to be an enjoyable tournament, but
No.
This
And
is supposed to be like your big tournament. Like this is the tournament. Like this is your G1 that you hope you're doing every single year from now on. I just think that like, why is Takeshi? Why is
look
Kenny?
at the World Cup.
Why is Joe not in this? There's so many other guys who are doing so much better work that should be in this tournament.
Here, let me kind of throw a sports analogy out there. Like, look at the FIFA World Cup for football or soccer. Not everybody is a fucking powerhouse that's going to be predicted to be the champion. You got to have teams in there like the USA. They're going to get squashed. You know what I mean? Like, you got to have crappy teams in a tournament. They got to be there.
So here's my devil's advocate: is that I don't believe soccer is fixed. So you're like, yes, Jeff, in a real life tournament, all the countries should definitely be able to compete. I definitely agree
like
with that.
When Germany faces off against like, I don't know, like Cameroon or something, Germany's gonna whoop that ass, but like it's still an entertaining match. There's got to be stuff like that.
Again, I think you're comparing apples to oranges, which
I'm just saying, I'm just kind of throwing stuff out there. I still think it's going to be a great tournament. And when we get past the round robin stages, like when Mark Briscoe and Jay Lethal are knocked out, that's when shit's going to get real. And it's going to be like, okay, now we're on track. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Jeff, but all I'm saying is that we're sitting here, we're reviewing the product, we're giving our thoughts and our feedback and our critique. So I'm going to give the critique that, okay, well, maybe it's avoidable. Like, that's like saying, like, when you're playing a video game, it's like, oh man, get through like the first like 10 hours. It's good.
No,
it's really good. And it's like, okay, like I get that, and I'll definitely enjoy that later part of that game. However, it would be nice, and game development and pro wrestling booking are not the same thing at all. So maybe that's a bad analogy. But like,
Michael says, "Go Team USA." Yeah, go USA. Don't get me wrong, Michael.
Go USA, and then it was retracted. I don't know why it was retracted. Go USA. And then the Blue League. Jeff, can we put up the Blue League so I can?
You know what? They haven't posted it because it's not Collision yet. That's
Oh, they shared it though. Hold on.
Did they? Here, let me see.
Yeah, they definitely shared it.
Here, I'll find it.
But I mean, yeah, I just think that Mark and Jay Lethal are just real swing and misses there, because it's like there's no shot. There is no shot that these guys are going to make it far in the tournament, and it becomes a very predictable bracket. Like, you just know that most of the guys are probably going to pick up wins. And I think it's a shame. I just think that it's not smart booking. It's a weird oversight on Tony Khan's part where, like, I get you probably think very highly of Jay Lethal and Mark Briscoe, but, like, is this the spot for them? I just don't think so.
We could agree to disagree, but I honestly think it is a good spot, at least for Mark Briscoe, not necessarily Lethal. I'm kind of in the same boat with you on Lethal, you know what I mean? But I think Mark fits fine. That's as far as I'll go. I think he fits fine. But no, I can't find the Blue League at all, man. I was looking. I can't. I'm keep scrolling and it ain't here.
Okay, that's fine. I disagree. I actually think that Jay Lethal is more suited for the tournament than Mark Briscoe, but I don't think either of them are suited.
Okay, here's a different.
Sorry, go ahead.
I just found a different thing. I'll throw it up here.
So Nat says Andrade, Danielson, King, Brody King, Claudio, and Garcia. 5. Who's the 6th guy on that? I forget.
So Danielson, Andrade, Brody King, Claudio, Daniel, and Eddie Kingston.
Okay.
Daniel Garcia. I just said Daniel.
Yeah. Blue side, way better. Like, I don't really have a lot to complain about with the blue side. I was going to say
I have no problems with the blue side.
I think the blue side is generally really good. I mean, if it was a collision only bracket, I would definitely try to get Malachi Black on there, but I'm a big fan of Brody King, so I'm totally cool with Brody being on the bracket. But like, see, like Brody, like that's a much more believable. Like, I don't think Brody's gonna win, but like, it's much more believable that Brody King is gonna pick up some wins in this tournament.
Oh yeah, he's our scary monster, man. Absolutely. He's going up against Eddie Kingston on Saturday, by the way.
So like, why couldn't we get Hobbs instead of Mark Briscoe? Why couldn't we get Takeshita instead of Jay Lee? Why
Nat,
couldn't we
Garcia defeated Bryan Danielson. That is why he is called the Dragon Slayer.
Exactly. Like Garcia's beaten Danielson, and Garcia's currently doing the storyline where it makes sense for him to be in a wrestling tournament because it's
Yep.
going to further push the pro wrestler. So it's like I'm totally great with Garcia being in there, and the fact that he's a young guy in there trying to prove himself. Like Garcia is perfect for this tournament. I don't know, man. Like we could argue about it till we're red in the face.
Yeah.
I was drunk.
I just
Don't
think
mind.
it's definitely a matter of opinion. You know what I mean? Not a big
Yeah,
deal.
there's the right opinion, there's a wrong opinion. I get it.
All right. Well,
Okay.
we could scour the likes of Twitter, and I can't find anybody who's talking shit on Mark Briscoe in this tournament. So that's all I'll say.
I'm not talking shit. I'm just saying it's not a good pick for the
I got you. I think guys like them need to be in tournaments. I think my analogy of like Germany versus Cameroon was a great analogy. I'm gonna pat myself on the back real quick, for that one.
Yep. Except one is real and one is fixed. Yeah, sure, Jack.
I mean, you could some may argue against that, but we'll just move on here. So Swerve does pick up his 3 points. I thought it was a great match with Lethal. Next up, we had Renee Paquette backstage with Orange Cassidy, Hook, and Shibata. We had Wheeler Yuta interrupting their interview right away, and he essentially lets Shibata know that he is coming back after his Ring of Honor Pure Championship. And that's kind of why I feel like he did make sense on the show with Shibata. Wheeler Yuta is definitely always on Dynamite, and, Yuta getting a chance to see Shibata, letting him know he's going to come for the belt. And he did kind of let us know Shibata's going to be on Ring of Honor. I guess tomorrow he said he's going to be wrestling, so I guess they do still have their show on Thanksgiving. But I like this. I was a big fan of Wheeler when he was the champion, the pure champion, and his match with Shibata was fantastic when Shibata took the belt from him. So is this going to be their second or third match? I want to say second, but I feel like they've had two already.
I think it's their third.
Yeah, it could definitely be their third. I'm not sure, but you would more than likely be right. So yeah, I can't wait for that match. That should be fantastic whenever we get to that. I'm assuming the next pay-per-view for Ring of Honor, or what do you think? World's End, maybe?
Yeah, probably Final Battle in a couple weeks.
Final Battle.
Yeah. I thought Yuta was great here. I thought it was really good. I think he's getting more comfortable in the mic, which is good to see. My takeaway from this promo was I wrote in my notes, "You mad, bro?" Like it just seems like Yuta's just mad at all three of them, just because they kind of just keep winning. Like Yuta's mad that Orange, like he's like, "Oh, Orange Cassidy, congrats on finally beating Jon Moxley. It only took you like 16 orange punches." I was like, "Yeah, but I guess he won."
It's like, yeah, he still did it.
Still won. Does it matter how many moves he had to do? Like, oh, well, we're paying by the move now. Like,
yeah.
So that was, again, it was still a good promo. I'm not shitting on it, but it was funny. And then he calls Hook his Orange Cassidy's young boy.
Yeah.
That was. And he's like, "Shibata, I haven't forgot about that pure title." Man, Yuta, you're just. It's kind of funny to me that like Yuta is the one that's keeping this going, and it makes a lot of sense for like the young guy in the group. Like the BCC clearly like respects Orange Cassidy, and like they're moving on to the tournament. They have their eyes on the next conquest. But Yuta, man, he can't get over the fact that Orange Cassidy is as successful as he is.
Just can't let it go.
It bothers Yuta. Like we've seen it kind of slowly build in little teases. Like when Orange Cassidy beats one of the members, and like they're helping the member out of the ring, and Yuta kind of turns around and looks at Cassidy, and the fact that Cassidy has beaten Yuta twice defending the international title, because it's happened twice already. Like you could just tell that Yuta is the young guy on the team who just can't let this go, and like I don't know what it's going to lead to, if anything, but like it's just a really cool little piece of storytelling that they're doing here. Really like.
Yeah, I'm definitely into it as well. All these young guys together, I think it's great. Next up, we had MJF and Adam Cole, baby, down to the ring. MJF cuts a great promo, starts to, let the devil know he's coming after him. And the devil appears on the screen with a almost seemed like a familiar laugh, Rome. The Coog threw it into the Discord. He said that sounded like CM Punk. And I can't help but agree with him that felt like CM Punk's laugh. But I have no proof whatsoever to base that on. Just all my brain wishing and hoping and praying that it's CM Punk.
So I think the devil is Britt Baker.
Me too.
I thought that laugh did not sound like. I thought that the laugh sounded, if anything, a little bit more on the feminine side. Which there are ways to really distort it to make it not clear, but my brain heard the laugh and I was like, that just sounds like a distorted feminine. Which is going to lead me to believe it's Britt. Now, another reason I think it's Britt, I'll just bring it up now because it doesn't really fit anywhere else in the show, but Britt was pretty angrily live tweeting during Full Gear about anytime MJF or Adam Cole storyline was going on, including at the media scrum. So she just kind of seems very like in character at that point, which just flagged my brain as suspicious.
So Rome, have you seen this music video from Doja Cat with the AEW Women's Division?
Yes, I've seen it a million times.
So
yeah, she does the devil,
and the whole thing is, ooh, she a devil. Now, I just want to throw this out there. Could you imagine if all of these people that were in masks are like all these women from this music video? So
I don't think it's going to be that, but I will say that I think that. And here's the thing: if Britt ends up being the devil, here's what I need Tony Khan to do. Which by the way, Jeff, it's hilarious. The ultimate slowpoke Jeff moment to be bringing up this devil music video weeks later, but it's okay.
Oh no, I posted this in the Discord when it first came out, but okay.
Anyways, I think that if Britt does end up being the devil, this needs to be her new.
Oh, absolutely.
Like they need to like go full in on the character change. Like no more DMD stuff. Like like make it a complete character retool. Like where it's like, yep, no, she's the devil.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
that's where I'm at with it. I think that Britt's the devil. And that's just where I'm at with it. But so MJF and Adam Cole come out to the ring. Max says, "There's some girls I want to get deep with, and I don't mean your people." And I was like, "Oh, jeez." Max says Jay White is one of the best wrestlers in the world, but no one is on the level of the devil. Max goes on to list his accolade. Excuse me. Talking about how he's the youngest world champion, the longest reigning world champion, like all of his stuff. He says that he's the greatest AEW world champion of all time. Adam Cole kind of jumps in with story time with Adam Cole, baby. Cole says that it bothers him that he can't help because the whole world is gunning. Max vows to find the devil. He's gonna beat him up, all that stuff. Screen cuts to black. The devil shows up, laughs at MJF, which again, I thought it sounded very feminine. I think it's Britt, me. Right after that, Samoa Joe comes out, perfectly timed. Joe wants Max to pay up. He says I helped you at Full Gear. You're still the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champions. I want you to give me my title match that you said you were going to give. Max says that Joe's breath smells like a skunk's ass, so take a step back. And Max says, in response to you getting a title shot, I thought about it long and hard, and I've decided, blow me. Joe goes to grab JF. Cole, in a really weird way, I thought, talks Joe down. He wants Max to be a man of his word. He says, like that's not the new you. The new you will take this challenge head on, and you'll come out on top. MJF mentions how he beat CM Punk in Chicago twice. That definitely hit me.
Yeah.
So Samoa Joe says that he wants MJF at 100%. He doesn't want to face him in Chicago like MJF wanted. Joe says that he wants MJF at World's End for the world title. MJF accepts. The match is on for December 30th in Long Island. So Joe says that Max is his property. So he's going to make sure So Joe says, I should have actually wrote the quote down because it was pretty good. He's like, "You're my property now. People are gonna know you don't touch Joe's property." He's like, no one's gonna lay a finger on you. You know, when you think you're alone, I'm gonna be right there behind you, watching your back. He says, "I got your back, homie." And so my initial thought is that Joe is totally gonna get destroyed by the.
Possibly.
In fact, here's my thought process. Because I did say earlier, I don't like the idea of doing Joe and MJF at Full Gear or at World's End. And I still feel that way. I don't know if that match is actually. I really don't.
Well,
I would not do it, actually, because in my mind, they already had their match at Grand Slam. They've already done MJF versus. Like, why would you rehash do that match again? Which, I mean, like, not that it would be a bad match. You've already done that match. Like, do something different, in my opinion. And so, like, what I think they're gonna do is I think that in the coming week, probably closer to World's End, I think Joe is gonna get jumped and destroyed by the Devil.
okay.
So that's my guess, because I don't know if Joe's the right guy for this match. In my opinion.
I mean, I love the story that they've been building with it, so I mean, I think that it's gonna happen. I just think the Devil's gonna help defeat Samoa Joe, I guess. But yeah, I don't, you know,
Devil do that.
I think it'll be fine. I think MJF actually hurt his hip in the Full Gear match when he did that cutter to the outside. I think he said he had to pop his hip back into place. So I'm wondering if Joe, you know, protecting MJF is just our way of keeping MJF, you know, away from harm for the next month or so. But we'll see. Nat says Brits the Devil, Roddy the Kingdom, and Red Dragon are under the other masks. That'd be nice. I'd be okay with it. Absolutely. All right, so let's go move on here. Next up was Hook, Shibata, and Orange Cassidy versus Jake Hager, Cool Hand, and Daddy Magic. And we had a surprise return of Danhausen. I guess it's not really a surprise when they've been telling us he's going to return, but Danhausen finally returned to a huge pop from the crowd. That was really cool. He had some really nice new gear. And man, Shibata was absolutely the star of this match, man. This match was incredible. Lots and lots of fun in this match. Danhausen just barely got involved, just casted a little bit of distraction, cursed Jake Hager. And, you know, the crowd absolutely loved Danhausen being back. They loved this match. Hook is over. Shibata is absolutely over. Of course, Orange Cassidy is over. You know what I mean? But I had a lot of fun in this match. And it was Shibata and Hook with the double red rums to Daddy Magic and Cool Hand Angelo Parker, and we got the tap out victory. I thought this was great, man. I thought this was a very, you know, those 3v3s that they just kind of throw together out of nowhere. I thought this was great.
I thought the match was a lot of fun, but I have to say it. So Danhausen, and you know that short clip Stephen A. Smith where he's like, I'm gonna tell you right now, I don't care. That's how I feel. I couldn't care less that Danhausen was back. I think that just don't care. It's like, all right.
Okay,
fine.
well, the crowd obviously disagreed with you. I did as well. I thought Danhausen was excellent coming back.
I heard the pop, and I'm not saying that my opinion is like law or anything, but I was just like, like you said, I mean, they were teasing it a lot, and it was just like, well, what is he? So, like, my question is, what is Danhausen gonna do of substance now? Because here's the thing, I think that we are getting to a point. As much as I love Orange Cassidy, and this isn't really even a knock against Orange Cassidy, I think Orange Cassidy has a friend problem. I think he has too many friends at this point. Where, like, what is Danhausen gonna do except get lost in the shuffle? So it's like Hook is his friend. So, okay, hold on. So let's take a step back. So Orange Cassidy has the best friend, Chuck Taylor and Trent. He's got Hook. He's part of Chaos. So, like, whenever Rocky Romero's in town, he's there. He's got Chris Statlander, and like I don't know, like I was just like Danhausen just kind of doesn't really matter at this point. Like it, I don't know. I
He's
just didn't care.
He's
And
just a
like
minor comic thing, you know. He's there to sell some merch. You know,
a
people
minor
like to buy
comic
the
thing,
masks, you know.
he's a minor comic thing in a group with comic bits. Each character in that group has comic bits.
I don't
Like
find Orange Cassidy's comic at all anymore. I feel like he has absolutely molded that character into a absolutely fantastic professional wrestling character, to be honest with you.
well, you can have both, but it's still a funny character. It's still funny. It's still enjoyable. Entertaining.
Absolutely.
I get it. Look, I know you're a big Danhausen fan, so I'm not gonna sit here and argue with you. But I was just like, all right, well, this doesn't do anything.
I mean,
Like,
it was 30 seconds. So I mean, if you're not a fan of Danhausen, then you know, it just wasn't for you. I get it.
No, for sure.
But the match was great. This was absolutely the Shibata show. Loved it. Shibata kicked everyone's ass. The double tap out was awesome with him and Hook both doing the red rum. I thought it was great.
Yeah, match was great.
All right, next up we had Adam Cole with Renee Paquette. Roderick Strong comes out screaming, Adam. Adam screams, shut up, Roddy. And essentially we get the breakup of Adam Cole and Roderick Strong. Adam Cole finally has had enough. And he says, Roderick, you just got to understand, we are no longer best friends. And Adam Cole walks off.
You know, I don't think you're doing the line justice. So he says, when are you going to get it through your thick skull? We're not best friends anymore.
Yeah, that was rough, man. If I was Roddy, I would have been sitting there crying, you know?
So, like, I will give Roddy this. That was the first time in a few weeks where I actually found it funny again. When he did the Adam thing. Maybe it's just different because Adam's actually there. I enjoyed that. I thought it was funny. Yeah, it's an interesting character arc here where, Adam Cole's kind of being a dick to Roddy, which was kind of like surprisingly like not fun. Where I was like, oh, that's not like I don't, you know what I mean? It was just kind of like I can't explain it, but it was just like the whole storyline to this point has been like Adam kind of being like Roddy, like you're a goofball, like you're being dumb, stop it, you're annoying me, you know, but still friends. And then like for him to say that, I was just kind of like, oh.
Yeah, I was shocked. I was like, oh man, Adam, how could you? But like Nat says, this definitely amplified my belief of Britt Baker being under that mask. Those three guys right there definitely seemed like they were going to be the three guys that were in the black masks. So we'll see where it goes, but I'm actually enjoying the storyline here. I think it's great. So we'll continue that on. And next up, it was time for the patriarchy. Christian Cage, Luchasaurus, and Nick Wayne come out in just another absolutely incredible Christian Cage segment. This guy cannot miss. He hits a home run every single time he is on television. Christian blames Luchasaurus for their loss at Full Gear, dubs him a new name, makes him get down on one knee and says, "You are now Kill Switch." The crowd didn't like it. Luchasaurus didn't like it. And he dubs Nick Wayne the Prodigy. Nick Wayne. Shayna, Nick Wayne's mom, comes out. And Christian, so as Christian starts insulting Nick Wayne's mom, Luchasaurus, or Kill Switch, if you will, gets in between Christian Cage and Shayna Wayne, I think her name still is. And Christian shoves him, and he goes into Nick Wayne's mom, knocking her to the mat. Nick Wayne grabs a chair, 2 chairs to be exact. Christian sets her up for the concerto and tells Kill Switch he needs to do it. And man, just as Kill Switch is about to deliver the concerto to Mama Wayne, Adam Copeland's music hits. He comes out for the save. spears Nick Wayne, takes out Luchasaurus. This was crazy, man. I absolutely loved every single second of this.
So this was one of the most phenomenal pieces of television I
Unbelievable.
think I've ever seen in my entire life.
I'm glad we agree on this one.
Yeah, Christian blames Luchasaurus for the loss of Full Gear. Christian Cage realizes that Luchasaurus and Nick Wayne have done nothing but benefit from Christian being there, and they're his children. And so he says it's time to shape them his own image. He tells Luchasaurus to take a knee. Luchasaurus extremely hesitantly finally takes the knee. And he says, Luchasaurus, always be a loser. From this day forth, you'll now be known.
Kill Switch.
I don't like the name, but I think it's kind of the point. Like, that's just me. So at this point, he turns around to Nick Wayne, and he's like, "And you, Nick?" And Nick instantly, without even being told, kneeled, which was incredible. He's ready to be knighted. He's ready to go. He's so on board with everything Christian's telling him. And Nick says, Christian says, "Nick, stand up. You're different. You don't kneel to anyone. You're special. You're the son I've always wanted. You are me, and I love you, Nick." And he says, so from this day forth, Nick Wayne will be known as the Prodigy. Now, my only critique about this segment is I wish they would have called him, redubbed him Nick.
Nick what?
Like Nick Cage, like Christian
God.
Cage. That would have been the one thing differently I would have done here. Like, I don't think the Prodigy nickname is enough. I would have went full blown like, you're my son. I love you. You're Nick Cage. But so Nick's mom, Shayna, comes out and pleads him to stop with what he's doing. Christian Cage says, "You're a terrible mother."
That hurt my feelings, dude.
Yeah, man, it was rough.
That was bad. That was rough.
He shits on Shayna for being a waitress, making $40,000 a year, trying to provide for her kids after her husband dies. And Christian Cage, my God, he says, "Good thing your husband is dead, because Nick would have probably disowned." God. Oh,
dude,
my
Nick
God.
Wayne was standing there stone-faced the whole time. I don't know how he didn't react to any of this.
Yeah, and so he tells Shayna that she should probably go punch in. Her shift at Denny's is about to start. At this point, yes, Kuga, the AEW social medias did make a kill switch drag. I have no comment.
I don't know if it's a kill switch engage reference, because he said you're my finisher, and Christian's finisher is called the kill switch, so he just named him kill switch, which is his finisher, right?
AEW social media did a post where they said kill switch ...
engage. Nice. Okay.
Yeah,
because that is Roderick Strong's music is kill switch engage.
It is, but also Punk did use kill switch.
Yeah,
which is what a lot of people were like, "Oh, it's a Punk reference."
What up, Sergio?
What's up, Serge? So Luchasaurus at this point stands in for Nick's mom between the two of them. At which point Christian shoves Luchasaurus. Collateral damage happens. Shayna gets knocked out. Nick Wayne goes to Taz, number one. Shout out to Taz. Absolutely sold it and really killed it. He's like, "Nick, what are you doing? Go to your mom."
Yeah, he's like, "Go help your mom."
Yeah, it's your mom, bro. What are you doing? Like, go help your mom. And can I baptize a dinosaur? But so it was really well done by Taz there. So shout out to him. Nick Wayne jumps out of the ring, grabs two chairs, and is about to air toe his mom. Christian tells Luchasaurus to do it, in which case he's like struggling. Adam Copeland's music hits. He comes in, makes the save. Christian Cage is watching as Adam Copeland prepares a concerto to Nick Wayne. He yells, "No, that's my son.
Yeah.
That's my child.
That's my child."
And Nick Wayne takes concerto. And man, what a segment. What an absolute incredible segment. Christian Cage is him. And that's all there is to it, really.
Yeah, I'm really glad you said that was like one of the best pieces of television you've ever seen, because I really felt the same. I was just like, this is an all-time segment. but Christian Cage has so many of those, it's hard to like rank any of them. I just put them all in the file of like Christian Cage incredible segments, and the file cabinet, it's like six drawers deep now, like
Yeah, for
it's
sure.
crazy. But fantastic, unbelievable segment. Absolutely loved it. And the that's my son part. I absolutely loved it. But the Adam Copeland concerto to Nick Wayne right in front of his mother, he didn't even notice she was there. Even afterwards, and when it was time for him to walk out of the ring, Adam Copeland never even glanced towards Nick Wayne's mom. Like, he just was staring Christian down and smiling and laughing. Like, that was wild. And I love how Taz pointed it out. Like, dude, his mom was right there, like that was so many things. There were so many layers to that story. That was incredible.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, next up, we had Renee Paquette to interview Anna Jay, but everybody else from the former JAS is with her, and they all interrupt. And Anna Jay is like, "Shut up! This is about me." And definitely looks like the cracks are forming in all of these supposed friends here. I don't know how long they'll still be together. But Anna Jay wants to make sure that Angelo Parker was going to be in her corner, but Ruby Soho was calling his cell phone, and he was too busy. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
Next up was our second Gold League match. We had Roosh versus Jay White in a very, very, very good match. Slightly, I don't want to say disappointed with the finish. There was a low blow from Jay White when the ref wasn't looking. I don't know why I wasn't expecting anything like that when the tournament had so many rules of like nobody on the outside and no interference, stuff like that. I kind of felt like we weren't going to get any of the shenanigans, but this was fine. It just caught me off guard. But Jay White does pick up the win here with a low blow, hits the Blade Runner for a 1-2-3. The ref just happened to not be looking during the low blow. He was kind of hiding in the corner after almost getting hit by Jay White. No contact was made, though. What do you think of the finish? Did it bother you at all?
Honestly, not a whole lot. Jay White's a conniving heel who just spent the last month walking around with another man's championship belt. So, not really. That's just kind of where I'm at with it. I thought the match was excellent. Would I have preferred a clean finish? Yes, but a dirty finish, like a low blow type finish, I think is acceptable. I didn't really have an.
Yeah, it was just something that caught me off guard. I kind of know that I shouldn't have had a problem with it because that is, Jay White is definitely a heel. So he wins this one, gets his 3 points. Let's see here. I don't want to rush through this one with, Roosh because this was a great match, but I didn't write too much down of what actually went down in the match. It was just your basic Roosh and Jay White match. Nothing to scream about, but it was still fantastic. Next up, we had a recap of basically after the scrum from Full Gear. Jericho was attacked backstage by Ricky Starks and Big Bill. Looks like they may have broken his arm, or I don't know if we're writing Jericho off for a little bit. I hope we're not, considering they just won that match against the Bucks and, kind of took their title shot from them. Not too sure where they're going with that, but they did smash Jericho's arm up against the wall with one of the big, backstage carts. What do you think?
Oh man, I don't know. I think, number one, it would be weird for them to write Jericho off, but the Bucks are also going to be also written off right now. Brandon Cutler on Twitter after Full Gear kind of made like a spoofy post where they were like, sources close to the Young Bucks tell me that Matt and Nick are taking a step away from wrestling. Please respect their privacy at this time. And then Brandon Cutler made a similar post on Monday about BTE, where he was like, sources close to the Bucks tell me that like clearly like he's the source. But he's like, sources close to the Bucks tell me that the Bucks are done with BTE. Please respect their privacy at this time. And I'm like, all right, well, assuming it's a storyline.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean,
It's like, all right, I'm starting to not appreciate these storylines that are like, I don't know, that are kind of like negative AEW. You know what I mean? Where it's just like, if the Bucks are really unhappy with AEW and like its storyline, I'm like, it's kind of a bad look for the company because it
Well,
does blur. It's really blurring the lines at this point, where it's like, all right, well, I'm hoping it's a storyline, and I'm hoping that the Bucks just don't hate it. But you know
yeah.
what I mean?
I wouldn't take it as they're upset with AEW in this storyline. It would more be like the elite are basically falling apart, and I don't know. It is
Yeah.
interesting that they may be stepping away for a minute. It's kind of odd, but we'll see. Next up, we had RJ City and Renee Paquette up on the stage, where I really hope they start doing some interviews up on the stage there again, like they did back in the day. I really enjoyed those. But we had the announcement or the presentation of the AEW Women's Championship, and RJ City and Renee Paquette announced that the AEW Women's Championship goes to Timeless Toni Storm. This was fantastic. They had her sitting out in the audience like she was at an awards show. She comes from the audience and she takes a spill on the ramp going up, and I totally think that was on purpose. I really do. I think that was absolutely on purpose. It was
Absolutely.
just like something at the Oscars, somebody falling up the stairs or something. It was great. Um,
I also love that she says, "Oh, I didn't even have anything planned." Pulled
as she
out.
whips out the speech, great. And
Yeah.
the crowd was so good tonight. They just knew exactly, where they were supposed to be. They were chanting speech, speech, speech. This
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
fantastic. I
She
absolutely loved this. I had no idea. It didn't occur to me that they were going to do something like an award show for her championship ceremony. This was great. Loved it.
Yeah, but so perfect. And so she she starts thanking people, and I love she thanks Anthony Khan, the Warner brothers, Jack Warner, who, if I'm not mistaken, at least I assume, was the original Warner brother who's like dead.
Long, long, long gone. Yes.
Right, yeah. And just she's like listing all these people she's thanking. Mariah May comes out with flowers. And towards the end of her acceptance speech, Tony Storm says, "And thank you to all the little Tony, but just know you'll never surpass me. You'll never beat me. You'll never come anywhere near me." She's like really shitting on those who would aspire to be anything like her. And like in the background, Mariah May, her face says it all, where she's just like, "Oh," like kind of like a "don't meet your idol" type moment,
Yep.
where like she idolizes Tony, but Tony's like, all the people like Mariah May, you're never gonna be anything, so don't even bother. Um, but then Mariah May like shakes it off, like, no, everything's. So I love this. Yeah, this was
Yeah,
awesome.
I thought this was absolutely fantastic. So essentially at the end here, Sky Blue's music interrupts for Sky Blue heading to the ring for the women's match here. I don't know if they were just pressed on time or if they did it on purpose for Sky Blue to kind of, you know,
No, that was definitely intentional. Like they
yeah, a little
definitely wanted her
jab
to
at
wrap
Tony
it up.
Storm there. So hopefully we get a program between the two. That'd be fantastic. We get Sky Blue versus Ruby Soho versus Anna Jay. And this was a great match as well. Sky Blue was obviously the star of this match. And Sky Blue's got a new finisher. They didn't give it a name, but it was a fireman's carry swinging into a cutter. Really liked that. She could have executed it a little bit better, but I do like that as a women's finisher. It definitely looks pretty devastating when it's done correctly. Just work on that a little bit and it'll be fantastic. I think this was a good match and the right woman absolutely won this.
So I enjoyed the match, thought it was good. I agree, Sky Blue winning was definitely the right call. I also agree with you about the finish from Sky Blue. I like kind of the idea of it. It seemed a little flat, and it could just be that the cameraman didn't pick up a good angle on it for some reason.
Hmm.
But well, let's see it again. I want to see it like another time or two before I kind of have like a full opinion on it, I think.
Yeah.
Something I wanted to point out that I like, that I don't think really I've seen anyone talk about, is I know that we talk about the Cool Hand Ange Ruby Soho dynamic, but I really am enjoying this Saraya Daddy Magic dynamic where like they're both to each other like you need to fix this. They need to not be together. What is like you need to take care of this. And they're kind of doing it to each other in a sense like where they're probably going to end up not together but like as a unit, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And so I find it really kind of entertaining um to see that kind of dynamic where you're seeing while you're seeing Soho and Cool Hand Ange, you're also on the other side seeing Daddy Magic, which I thought was
I didn't even notice Daddy Magic and Saraya interacting. That's a good observation there. I missed that.
they've been low key doing it for like a few weeks now, like just like little things where it's just like you need to get your girl, like he can't be doing this to her. And then during the match, there was a few times where it happened, but like one of the clearest was is they kind of were like getting real close to each other, Ruby Soho and Angelo, and Menard and Saraya come in and tear them away from each other, and they're both like kind of like up in each other's face, but like not arguing in a sense where they like hate each other, just like get him away from her, get her away from him. Like this is your problem, you need to fix it. They both say it to each
I
other
like it.
at the same time, and I thought it was really.
All right, well, Sky Blue picks up the win here with her fireman's cutter on Anna Jay for the 1-2-3. Great match. Liked it. I like that story that's going on in there. Next up, we had Renee Paquette backstage with Wardlow, who was curling a massive piece of steel, and he threw it down, and it definitely was a real massive piece of steel, so that was cool. This was all right. I mean, who was that? AR Fox showed up, tried to give Wardlow some advice. Wardlow's like, I don't need your advice, bro, and headbutts him into next week, and that was the end of the segment. Not bad.
I described this headbutt and Wardlow as like such a douchebag thing to do.
Yeah.
It was a douchebag headbutt where like he didn't even move his upper body. He just kind of like ugh, and I'm just like
Yeah. He does it in the ring too. It's the same thing in the ring.
I guess so, but it, like outside the ring, like just two guys backstage, it just looked like such a douchey thing to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is funny. It's his character, so I'm just like okay.
Yeah. All right, now next up was time for the main event, another Gold League match. We had Mark Briscoe versus Jon Moxley. And listen, man, whether I would agree with you or not, this was a great match. You know, whether this is part of a tournament or not, I thought this was a fantastic match. Mark Briscoe got busted open in this one. I honestly thought it was Moxley that was going to get busted open, but Briscoe gets busted open. Moxley hits him with a Death Rider, only gets a 2 count. Mark Briscoe hits Moxley with the Froggy Bow. He only gets the 2 count. But Jon Moxley does pick up the win here with his second Death Rider for the 1-2-3. And, you know, all I could say is this was a fine main event, and I thought it was a great match. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, it was good. It felt like a Rampage main event, to be honest. Again, like, I mean, we're just going to disagree on it. I think.
I mean, I see what you're saying. I just don't understand the, you know, I don't want to say Briscoe hate because I know you don't hate him, but
No,
just
I don't
kind
hate
of,
him. Just,
it seems like
again,
after his injury, you're just kind of like a lot more down on him than we were before, you know?
No, and here's the thing: like the way I felt pre-injury is the way I felt now. It's like I think the Briscoe brothers, the Briscoes, are like one of the greatest tag teams of all time. And Nat and I were talking about this in the Discord today. That's why you should join the Discord if you're not in the Discord. We have great discussions there. And we were talking about Mark Briscoe, and I think that we really are on the same page in a sense that to me and to her, and again, her words, I'm just agreeing with it and using it. But Mark Briscoe is the R-Truth of AEW. That's not necessarily a bad thing. Like there's a spot on the roster for that. But it's just not he shouldn't be the way he's being presented and being booked is that like he's not really a super credible threat on the roster, which is why I don't think he should be in the tournament to begin with. If I were booking Mark Briscoe, what I would do is I would take Mark Briscoe and I would take a young rookie. I don't know who. Doesn't matter who. Pick one. One that has promise. more preferable, right? And then you basically have Mark kind of mentor this young rookie as like tag team, because like Mark Briscoe is like part of the Briscoes, one of the greatest tag teams of all time. And it would make a lot of sense to do this dynamic where you have these two guys as a tag team and you let them do the tag team thing for a couple of years. And then when it's time, you have the rookie turn on Mark. And then that guy is a made heel. And I like that's how I would do it. I think you would be playing to Mark's strengths. I think you'd be doing something interesting with him. I think that it would be something that would just work. Instead, you just kind of have Mark Briscoe working in this like, hey, I'm a kung fu cowboy redneck guy, and I'm over here doing funny stuff. Look at me, woo!
Yeah.
And it's just like, I don't know, it just doesn't work. It's not super credible for me. Like it doesn't click with me at all. And
I just remember the pay-per-view where Mark Briscoe was up against Claudio and like we were thinking he should become the Ring of Honor world champ. Like I feel like we used to be a lot higher on the guy. That's all. I don't know.
To be fair, you guys thought he should be. I did not. I disagree. Respectfully, I have nothing against the guy. I like the guy. I like him a lot. He should definitely be on the roster. Definitely has a place.
Yeah. And
But
I
as a
think I'm
single
gonna
guy,
I'm gonna su- I was
Sorry.
gonna say I'm gonna support your argument a little bit. And now that I'm thinking about like if Daniel Garcia's on the other side of this, I feel like someone like Wheeler Yuta could have definitely been argued to be on this side. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Again, like I don't know who I would put there. I don't know who I would. If we were like doing that, Mark and Action Andretti. That's a great. Exactly. Let Action work with him for a few years. Do some fun tag team stuff. And then a couple of years from now, you have Action Andretti put Mark Briscoe on the shelf, and he's a mega heel. Maybe not mega, but you get my point.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
I just don't like the booking of Mark Briscoe, and then to throw him into this tournament. It's like, look, man, like yeah, the John Moxley Mark Briscoe match was good, but like this is like again, I'm gonna hold the C2 to a very high standard because of what I expect it to be and what I want it to.
Understood.
And I just think that at the end of the day, putting Mark Briscoe in this tournament, like Jay Lethal, okay, like I don't think he should be there, but I get it. Like he's a vet, he's an established guy, like there's some credibility in beating Jay Lethal. So I'm like, all right, I'll back off of that one. I don't want to, and I won't. But like for the sake of the argument, I'll back off of it. But Mark Briscoe is just like he's kind of a joke, and like not in a bad way. I don't want to come off as
No, I mean he does the whole chicken thing and the kung fu thing, like you said. So
yeah, it's very silly. It's very entertaining. It's very R-Truth-esque. R-Truth is hilarious. When my love of WWE was dying, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I did not laugh at R-Truth. I thought he was pretty funny. Like
he was
80%
great.
of the
R-Truth is great.
He's funny. Little Jimmy, invisible friend kid, like what the hell? That was funny. I thought it was funny. I don't want to get buried. It's just like it's fine. It's fine for what it is, which is comedy, and there's a place for it in wrestling. There really is. But is there a place for it in this tournament? I don't think so.
I completely see what you're saying. So like, I'll even agree with Nat. Like if we got Big Brody King on the other side, that would have been a freaking amazing for Will Hobbs to be on this side. And I was saying that there's people involved in storylines, is why they're not here. The Will Hobbs storyline, I think, is done. I know he's still part of the Callis family, but where's he going from here? He could have definitely been in this tournament. That would have been a great spot for him. Yeah, I can see where you're coming from.
There's so many guys on the roster that should be in this spot, right? But they're not. And
I just think that they're guys that we don't want to have any losses on their record right now, and we need people to lose matches in this tournament. That's all I'm saying.
But again, but that goes back to my main point, which is like that's a big problem with AEW's philosophy of their booking, where it's like okay, here's the thing. I'm just going to use it as an example because it's one that's relevant to me as a fan. But CM Punk, right? I think CM Punk, and I stand by it, CM Punk had a great run in AEW.
Yeah.
Great run. There were weeks where he was wrestling guys that he should not have even bothered. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I just felt like we didn't do big money nearly as many big money matches with CM Punk as we could have in the short time that we had him. And I feel like that's a common thing in AEW.
Yeah, but
Like,
that was his thing. Remember when he showed up, he's like, I want to have matches with this guy and that guy and this guy and that guy and that guy, you know?
hearing you. But at the end of the day, who's the boss?
Yeah, but I am sure he had
Answer the
some
question.
creative control there.
Answer the question. Who's the boss of the?
Well, obviously Tony Khan.
Okay, thank you. Okay, even if you don't want to use the Bucks, like look at Bryan Danielson, and like yes, there are a lot of guys he's worked with, but at the same time, there's a lot of guys that he should work with who he hasn't worked with yet. And I think that a lot of the time, AEW, I think Tony Khan, look, he sits back and he's afraid for top guys to lose to, so he doesn't book. Like, look, man, you got to be long term with it. Absolutely. I'm not sitting here saying like adopt the WWE mentality of short term booking and crash TV. That's not the way to go. But huge but here. It like you need to book your money matches while you can, because for all you know, someone like I don't know, let's just say Mox. And I keep saying this today. I really, God forbid. Let's say Moxley gets hit by a bus. You know what I mean? Like, are there any money matches that Mox has left on the table? And like, how many are we talking? Like, and some guys, that's not the case, but other guys, it is the case. It doesn't feel like there's a lot of money matches that always happen, like, or often enough. And I just think that like, don't be so afraid to have all your top guys in a tournament because it's a round robin tournament. People are going to get the wins back in this tournament. Like, it's very easy to have it be like, okay, well, like as long as everyone gets at least a win in the tournament, it shouldn't be that big of a deal, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You can make it up.
Well,
You
like
can
I
get
said, this
back.
is just the round robin part. We need guys that are going to take some losses. And once we get through this round robin section, I think this is going to be absolute fire. We already got a bunch of really good matches coming here just in the gold league. That's let alone going even into the blue league. So
See, Nat gets it. She says Danielson could get injured again and not finish his retirement run. His career is already finishing up. You have to fit in what you can now. And I
he's here
100%
though. What are
agree.
we talking about though?
What?
He's in the tournament though.
Yeah, I understand, but Nat's point is that like, why are we not loading up this tournament while
It
we
is
have these?
loaded. Just because there's two guys you don't like does not mean that it is not loaded, man. Come on.
Jeff, you got look, man, look. You gotta be able to take a step back and critique it. It's
You can't always get what you want. You know what I'm saying? Like, listen, many people are extremely happy with the entire 12. For you to be happy with 10 out of 12, I think that's a great percentage. You know what I mean? That's like above 80%, maybe.
number one, Jeff. Not a drone. I'm entitled to my own opinions, and just because the crowd doesn't like, the crowd likes something and I don't, that's fine. It's okay. But I am an independent thinker, so sorry. Number two, shut up. Number three, again, the point of this show is a review and recap show. We recap the action and we give our thoughts on the product. So yes,
You
I
know,
am going to say that the tournament could be better. Yes, you are correct. Yes, I'm going
and
to.
while I will agree with you, I think you're making a much larger deal about it than it should be. I think we should
I don't
be
think so.
more so celebrating how great this tournament is going to be than complaining about one guy on one side of the bracket. That's all.
I think you're misconstruing me giving feedback and critiquing a lineup than for complaining and not liking it. Like, I'm very excited for the C2, and I think it's going to be great. And as I've said prior to tonight and tonight included, I thought all the matches were good at worst. They were good. I thought Rouge versus Jay White was the match of the night, and that was incredible. And the tournament's going to be fun. Like, this is not some hating fest. I'm not hating on it. If anything, the discourse is continuing because we just disagree on it. Fine. Well, no, I mean seriously, like that's where this discourse is coming from. I'm not harping on it or anything like that. It's just you disagree, so now we're discussing. But it's it's just, yes, you're correct. I am happy with 10 of the 12 entrants, but I could be happier with 12 of the 12.
I understand that.
Something
Totally
something
understand that.
that Tony Khan very easily could have done. All he had to do was book it. Like again, this isn't like a soccer or a football, where it's like, well, everybody's got to play a game, so there's going to be some stinkers, like the football games tomorrow.
But
Yikes!
I mean, but you've already been proven wrong. There's not going to be a stinker. Like, that match was fabulous. Drainmaker just posted John Moxley, Mark Briscoe, great main event to earn first 3 points in the Continental Classic. Like,
you're missing the point, and it's okay.
I mean,
Fine.
I don't know.
Not
I just don't
saying
understand
the match is
why.
bad.
Like,
I'm not saying that the match is bad, Jeff, but here's the thing. When wrestling becomes predictable, it's not as fun. Like, that was one of the things about WWE. Like Nat was saying the other day on the Discord, she won the Raw Falls Count Anywhere bracket, I think, or she did very well on it, despite not even watching the show, because it's just so predictable. I don't want wrestling to be, as much as I love being right about predictions all the time and being the champion, I don't want to be right about that. I want to be proven wrong. I want to be, like, caught by surprise when a finish happens, as long as the finish makes sense.
yeah.
But for this tournament, I would have bet my life. I would have laid all my money on the table, all of my belongings, my heart, my soul, my dreams, everything, that at least in this match, in this night, and most of the rounds, most of the nights of the tournament, that Jay Lethal and Mark Briscoe are not going to do well in this tournament. And
I mean, I said it before the show started. I was like, well, at least both of them are losing tonight.
Yeah, for sure. But that's not that's a problem. That's the problem, is that there is predictability in the tournament. Like, you could have had it in a way where everybody can pick up some wins and some losses.
And that's where, like, being a major sports fan, I have no problem with one team that I know is going to lose. I literally do not have a problem with that. But I can totally see how you do it. I see it.
But Jeff, to reiterate, because I'm also a sports fan, but you're comparing two things that can't really be compared. You're comparing.
They absolutely can be. It's a tournament.
Yeah, but you can't compare them in a sense that, like, other sports, again, you can put the tinfoil hat on if you want, but we're going to operate under the general assumption that outside of pro wrestling, no other sport is rigged. Just
okay.
Operate under that assumption, that very vague assumption. It makes sense for every country to have their soccer team with a chance at competing, because it is a competition where, like, there is no fixed winner. College football, same way. College football, there are some really lopsided matchups that we see in college football. But those schools are still entitled to have a football team to compete in the tournament, or, whatever, in the league. You know what I'm saying? In wrestling, as much as I love wrestling, I love pro wrestling, it is a fixed sport.
Okay, but by that logic,
where the pencil, the booker, sits down and wrote out, Tony Khan has written out and planned out this tournament. So, like, you don't need to have, like, a guy. And sometimes, I'm not saying in a regular tournament where it's like elimination, I'm more lenient on that, because it's like, okay, it's an eliminator tournament, so it's fine. In this type of tournament style, I want every guy, especially because every guy is going to wrestle every other guy, and it's going to be a week-to-week grind to see who gets the most points. I want the entire field to be the best it can be, especially because I'm holding the C2 in a high regard, because I want it to be AEW's version of the G1. The way that people get excited about the G1 in New Japan, that's how I want people to feel about the C2. And I just want it to be, it should be a showcase of AEW's super, super, super deep roster. Like, there are guys under... Sorry, go ahead.
I'm going to say, I'm sure my opinion's not the greatest for you, but that is definitely how people are feeling. Like, I have been paying a lot of attention to it, and everybody is absolutely thinking that this is a great tournament, great lineup. They think it could possibly be, just as good, if not better, than a G1. I've just seen nothing but positives. That's all.
It's fine, and I'm just saying, like, there's nothing, like, this tournament's going to be great. And again, like, just to reiterate, I'm not saying, and maybe I'm just kind of, I think what I'm harping on is the fact that you're saying it's wrong to critique two of the entrants in the tournament when there are far better choices.
Yeah. Well, see, the Coog says, is the G1 predictable? I mean, you could definitely say Okada's not losing his first match with whoever he's facing sometimes. You know what I mean? So, like, I feel like there's going to be the same type of matches over there too.
Like, I don't know. I hear you. I get what you're saying, and
Yeah, and I
like
totally get what you're saying too. You know what I mean?
my stance is just that, like, look, man, like, this tournament's great. It's X. It could have been better,
yeah,
and that's what I'm
and
saying. That's the point of the feedback, of the
yeah,
critique. It is coming from a place of utmost love because I want the C2 to be special. I want this to be a yearly thing that we do. AEW loves its traditions, and so do I. So I
mhm.
want them to have this tournament every single year. And I think that the tournament is best suited to be a showcase of your top talent and young up and coming talent, which is why there are so many other guys on the roster. I could
And
probably think about 7 or 8 off the top of my head, which I listed them in the Discord earlier, who all would have been better choices than Mark Briscoe or Jay.
And you kind of just made me think of something here. This is the first C2. You don't want to I guess shoot your shot on the very first one. Maybe save something for next year that, maybe load it up more next year, stuff like that. You never know.
Which then again, and I'm not trying to be argumentative, circles back to my previous complaint that, well, okay, I understand that next year is next year, but what do you like? Let's put on the best show we can today, this
Yeah,
year.
I'm just
While
throwing something out
Danielson,
there.
like, I understand, I get it, but like we should be trying to put on the best show possible year in and year out, not like, oh man, next year's C2 gonna be fire. Like, no, like, put on the best tournament you can this year first, and then let's make sure next year the best.
I think when all is said and done, I think we're going to be extremely happy with this tournament. I'm already pretty happy with the two different brackets. Having the gold side and the blue side. I really like that. Danielson's probably not going to be there next year. We'll have some more room. He might be there next year because he said this is his last year full time. So we might get him here and there. I would imagine we'd probably see him next year in the tournament, maybe. I would imagine so.
I personally don't think so. Otherwise, I think he would. They're making it seem like his last match full time is going to be at All In. That's how
Yeah,
I.
yeah, full
That's how I.
time. That doesn't mean we won't see him again.
Yeah, but the C2 is a 2 month long tournament. At that point, just say
True.
you're retired. You're like, that's full time. Like, you're going to be
Well, I
on.
mean, that's full time for like a month or two straight. Yeah.
Exactly. So you can't say he's going to like do All In and then be done and then go back for 2 more months. Like, no,
Well,
he'll just
that's what
wrestle
part
throughout.
timers do, though. When Cena shows up, he shows up for like 3, 4, maybe 5 or 6 weeks, and then he goes away. That's what a part
Yeah,
timer kind of does.
but it wouldn't make sense for Danielson to stop in August and then take off for a month or two just to come back for 3 more months, 2 more months.
Yeah, I'm just kind of throwing it out there. I would hope we would
Yeah.
see him in the next one, but you're probably right. We might not.
No, I don't think we will. Which again, like get these matches in here, man. Like, get Danielson and Darby. Are we gonna get Danielson and Darby before Danielson like hangs it up? I hope we get it. I don't know
Yeah,
if we will, but I hope we do.
I don't know why, but that's not. I mean, that would actually be fire, but it's not one that I'm like, I need that. I don't know why. Definitely be good
Well,
though. All right. Well, it is getting a little late here. You got anything else you want to go over before we get out of here?
no.
Right on. I had a lot of fun on this episode here tonight. Changed it up a little bit on the format to start off. I like that. Why don't you go ahead and close us out, sir?
Absolutely. Well, this has been an episode of the Broken Tables podcast. I'm not sure what episode it's been.
I think it was 187.
27. Okay, it's not where it usually is. I wasn't
Oh
sure.
yeah, it's a little bit down there. I kind of put a nice little paragraph about Swerve.
Yes. So episode 187 of the Broken Tables podcast. Thank you to everyone hanging out with us here tonight, talking about Dynamite, listening to Jeff be silly. As always, it's a fun time to be had. Make sure you like the video, subscribe, become a member, help the channel, help us grow, help us do better, so we can provide you guys with a better product, and better entertainment. Once again, as everyone's pointing out, happy Thanksgiving. Go Birds,
Go
dude.
Birds.
Happy Thanksgiving to everyone in the chat, everyone watching. Hope you guys have a safe and healthy Thursday, enjoying food, the family, and the unfortunately really poor football. I'm really disappointed.
Go Commanders. I gotta root for the Commanders tomorrow, dude. We cannot have. I don't want Dallas winning on Thanksgiving. It's supposed to be like their day of getting crushed.
I always knew Jeff was a commie. Yeah, no, I mean, I would definitely hope the Commanders win too. I'm not gonna say go commies or anything like that. But anyways, make sure you join the Discord. Follow us on social media, aka Twitter. Don't worry, Jeff sees this spot. He has a blue check mark because he accidentally paid for Twitter Blue. Always a good bit there. Thanks, Jeff. But yeah, I mean, other than that, if you like video games and pro wrestling, you're in the right spot. Like, we talk about video games with the Game Room podcast. Talk about AEW with our Dynamite and Collision reviews. We will be back Saturday night for a Rampage Collision review. Should be a good one. So until next time, once again, happy Thanksgiving, and everyone have a great rest of your week.
Right on. All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining us here tonight. Until next time, Top Guys out.